Hello, my name is Jaume from Synth and Sundry, and today I'm super happy to be asking some questions to the super talented NoirEtBlancVie. Let's get started. In one of your videos, you describe yourself as a keyboardist and a synthesist. What makes those two things different or similar for you?
So a keyboardist at his core is a technician. You know, he's been doing this for 10,000 hours, or maybe he's been doing it his whole life. A keyboardist has trained his fingers to play certain ways to evoke different feelings from his instrument. He's exact, he's deliberate in his action. He knows how to go from the beginning to the end of a piece without making a mistake. It's all about practice. In the same way as a synthesis, a good synthesis at least, is someone who does know those deliberate places that those knobs lie. You know, if he has the filter of 50%, he's gonna plug in a patch, right? He knows what that's gonna sound like. He knows if he cranks the resonance, exactly how that's gonna sound. Because his actions have been done so many times, because he has that practice in a way. Where at the same note, a keyboardist must be able to be creative. Though a keyboardist in itself, a keyboard is limited, a piano per se. It's limited in, you've got these 12 notes over and over and over. And the difference really is that a synthesis has a synthesizer. It's creating, its name in its nature is just to create. And so really, the advantage of a synthesizer is that at the end of the day, you're really only limited by your creativity. And a synthesizer is sort of in its name, it's like endless possibilities.
In contrast to a lot of synth reviews on YouTube, I appreciate yours for being short, pithy, and getting to the heart of the matter. How do you know what to touch on in each case?
So it's a funny story why I started my YouTube channel is, at the time, I didn't really even watch YouTube at all. I was probably watching The Walking Dead or something. But when I finally got into watching channels on YouTube, the only channel I knew about was Sonic State, and it's because I knew about the website from when I would read about old synthesizers I wanted to buy. Nick, who runs the channel, everyone knows Nick. If you're in the synth community and you don't know Nick, I don't know where you've been, under a rock. So I always liked his reviews. It was something where I just watched the reviews and got the information and I was gone. But then, weirdly, in 2015, I came across this channel by this guy named James Rolfe, or the Angry Video Game Nerd. And I watched those videos to death. I watched every single one probably 3 times. And while not even being interested in video games, retro video games specifically at the time, because I suck, a person made me love something as much as he loved it. And that was just something special to me. And so when I started the channel and I made the first 1-minute synthesizer review, which is awful, it was born out of love for synthesizers and being around keyboardists who didn't always even know how to work a synthesizer. Yeah, there are keyboardists who don't know the synthesizer from the broadside of a barn. And so the channel was built out of me just wanting to create a show around synthesizers where people could come and just enjoy synthesizers. You don't even have to be a synthesis. And that was really, where it all began. Now, I didn't always include enough information about the synths because I was just like, hey, I played it, I get it, listen to me. But, eventually I found a way to build a sort of a repertoire of make a video that's fun, that people can enjoy on the surface, and then make in-depth videos for the true people who are synthesizing, who need to learn, right? It took time to have that transition to understand that there are multiple levels of interested people out there. And so, it's hard to always put everything in the video, but I think I finally reached the point where people stop literally saying F you. What the heck does a synth sound like?
Your videos have a very distinct look. How did you develop your visual style?
When the Moog Sub 37 review, so I guess, okay, step back. I love photography, right? I've always loved a good photo. I've always loved something that looks aesthetically pleasing. My favorite director, like this will make it all make sense. My favorite director is Nicholas Winding Refn, right? He is the director of Drive. He's the director of Neon Demon, Only God Forgives. If you just watch his movies, you'll understand, like, yeah, the story sucks, but it looks amazing, right? And so looks are honestly sometimes very deceiving. And when I saw other channels out there, it always made me be like, a synth to me was like beautiful. The Sub 37 is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful synthesizers in its simplicity, but in its form. And I wanted to always bring that out. Like, yeah, I saw these videos where the dude had like the flashlight on the synth and I didn't know what the buttons were because I couldn't see it. And I said, this is a beautiful synth under some horrible flashlight. I can't see it. So I thought, why not make no confusion between, like, I love these synths so much, I want them to be shown in the most best light. I don't know. And you know, I guess the funny thing is the sunglasses and the shirts, right? People probably think like NoirEtBlancVie is like some sort of a actor slash person who, it just puts this on as like a costume. But if you go back, and if anyone knows from before, look at when I was playing out at shows or for artists or in the studio or whatever, I have tremendous, ever since college, I had tremendous stage fright, right? And so the sunglasses were always this way of disconnecting what I was doing from, all of the watching eyes that I felt like were judging everything that I did. And so, yeah, go back to those shows when it's pitch black and I'm at the keyboard and I still have the sunglasses on because it's just, my way of having like a safe space. I mean, it may sound weird, but, I wore this shirt before the YouTube channel. I'm gonna wear it after.
What would you say are your desert island synths in your collection, and for what reasons? Desert island synths I could easily do. One, because the Korg SV1 is a synthesizer, so it counts as a synth, and it's got the piano and the Rhodes. Maybe the only two things I need as a musician that could just last me for the rest of my life. Now, okay, obviously I can add more to that. If we're going to if I gotta pick like my favorite, gotta go desert island on these synths, just because I gotta go the Korg SV1, I gotta go the Dave Smith Instrument Tempest. I guess my modular isn't a synth, is like a lot of synths, so I guess I won't take that. The Juno, it's weird. Some people say whatever about it, but the Juno 106, I just think that has just, wow, what a sound. It just is. I owned one until it got too much headache to own. And probably, I gotta go Sub 37 just because I could play that all day. I mean, I play that even just cause for what? Who cares? I just play it because it feels right. I really don't think, I don't know. What other desert island synth is there? What synth is not gonna get sand in it and break? What video channels, musicians, and tracks, whether it's online or offline, are on heavy rotation for you at the moment? What's the stuff that you're listening to?
In terms of channels that I actually watch and enjoy, I have to say that Red Means Recording is not always watched purely for pleasure, but watched so often because if you want to be inspired by someone who's working harder than you, feels like it's beyond more talented than you, has, I don't know, the best visual graphic, on YouTube in terms of like music channels, right? Those videos are, they often make me feel like ashamed for even making a video. And I know that people will say your cinematography and all this stuff in your channel is so great, but like, I look to a person like Jeremy for not just being a great person, but just making such great content. The other channel that I watch is Andrew Huang. Is just, if you want to see a musician and someone who really took it to that big time stage, that's a great channel. I love Bo Beats. His love for music and musicians, and not just synths, but the entire production of music, it shines through in every video. And he's just a good person. Oscillator Sync, a channel that I recently found, is just something where you don't realize it, but his in-depth diving deep into synths is what you actually need as someone who's a synthesist, because we're not all out there sitting there for hours figuring out how to do things, and he is, and that's what's really inspiring about that. Other than that, I just watch channels with cats, clearly.
And finally, thank you so much for answering these questions. And is there anything you'd like to share about what's coming up for NoirEtBlancVie?
What's coming up for me? More sleepless nights, producing for artists right now is gonna be a big thing in 2018. I can already see that being even more. The interest in the channel is growing, I guess. Maybe people know about it now, whatever. But yeah, the amount of love I got for the pedal boards with synthesizers series really inspired me to do something similar for Eurorack. So one, the finishing up of the Eurorack series for beginners, starting your first Eurorack, the 3-part series. It's not always easy to start a Eurorack synth, and I just feel as if I can possibly bring people who were too afraid to jump into that world, give them kind of maybe that like little entry hit, and kind of walk them through it in a way that I wasn't able to be walked through when I first started. I see channels and I see videos, and I'm not saying that they're doing it poorly, because they're doing it the best way they can, but from all of the feedback I got from the Synths with Pedal Boards thing, people were like, wow, like, thank you. No, why isn't anyone explaining it this way? And so I'm really gonna do a lot of work in making that the best I can. Aside from that, making music for fun, man. That's what we're gonna do in 2018, aside from the professional part of it. Just making a song I wanna make. Yeah, that was a struggle in 2017. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna try to make tons of funny music with whatever sounds I want. And whoever doesn't like it, suck on a knob. I don't know.